Today we are diving into something huge, one of the most ambitious projects in the history of social science ever. It's called the theory of action, and it was an attempt to create a single, unified blueprint for, well, for all of human society, the whole shebang.
So think about the question at the very heart of this. Is it even possible to have one single theory that explains everything we do? From the tiniest personal choice you make in a day, all the way up to the rise and fall of entire civilizations. It's a wildly ambitious goal, right? And honestly, that's what makes it so interesting.
And you know, this wasn't the work of just one lone genius. Back in 1949, Harvard basically assembled a dream team of thinkers. They wanted to take the groundbreaking ideas from the giants, Freud and his whole focus on our inner personalities, Emil Durkheim and how social structures work, and Max Weber, who was obsessed with the motivations behind our actions. Their goal? To fuse it all together into one grand theory.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this massive idea down. First, we'll start with the smallest possible piece, what the theory calls the act. Then, we'll get into the 5 critical choices everyone has to make before they do anything. After that, we'll zoom out and see how those choices build up into 3 huge systems. And finally, we'll talk about why this thing is still so important today.
So if you're going to build a theory of everything, where do you even begin? Well, for Parsons and his team, you start small, like really small. You start with the most basic building block of all social life. Just one single act. Let's take it apart.
First up, you have the actor. Sounds fancy, but it's really just the person or group whose action we're looking at. So let's make this real. Imagine you're walking down the street and you see a stranger's grocery bag split open, sending stuff rolling everywhere. In that moment, you are the actor.
Okay, so you're the actor, but you're not just floating in a void. You're in a situation, and the situation is pretty much everything else that's not you. It's the stranger, it's the groceries on the sidewalk, it's the other people walking past, it's the entire context for what you might do next.
And the final piece is your orientation. You can think of this as what's happening inside your head. It's your internal command center, and it's processing the situation. All your motivations, your values, your plans, they all kick into gear. You know that split-second internal debate? Oh, I feel bad for them, or shoot, I'm going to be late. That whole calculation, that's your orientation.
And the theory goes even deeper, breaking the situation down into 3 kinds of things we react to. You've got social objects, that's the stranger. You've got physical objects, the actual spilled groceries. And then, and this is the really cool part, you've got cultural objects. These are the invisible things, like that shared idea, that social norm that whispers, hey, a good person would help.
So you're the actor, you've sized up the situation, your brain is worrying. What now? This brings us to the absolute core of this theory, a set of 5 dilemmas they called pattern variables. Think of them as 5 fundamental choices you have to make, consciously or not, before you do anything at all.
Choice number 1, go with your gut or your head. It's affectivity versus affective neutrality. Do you act on your immediate feelings, that quick pang of sympathy you feel? That's affectivity. Or do you restrain that impulse because you have a larger goal in mind? Like, I absolutely cannot be late for work. That's affective neutrality.
Second choice, is it about rules or relationships? Universalism versus particularism. Do you follow a general, universal rule like one should always help a person in need, no matter who they are? That's universalism. Or do you act because of something specific and particular about them? Like, oh, I'll help because that's my neighbor, or hey, they're wearing my favorite team's jersey.
Third choice is about what versus who. This is achievement versus ascription. Are you reacting to what the person did, their performance, they dropped their groceries, or are you reacting to who they are, their inherent qualities? They look like a kind elderly person who could use a hand.
Number 4. How defined is your role in this moment? Specificity versus diffuseness. Is your engagement really narrow and limited? For example, my only job here is to help pick up this 1 can. That's specificity. Or is it part of a much broader, more all-encompassing relationship, like helping is just part of being a good neighbor? A doctor's relationship to a patient is specific. A parent's relationship to a child is diffuse. It covers everything. And the final choice, is it about me or we? Self-orientation versus collectivity orientation. Do you prioritize your own interests? Helping out is going to make me late. Or do you prioritize the interests of the group? It's our shared responsibility as a community to help each other. Okay, so take that one small act, guided by those 5 choices, and now multiply it by billions of people, making billions of choices every single day.
What happens then? Well, this is where we zoom out, because those individual acts don't just disappear. They start to stack up and organize themselves into massive interlocking systems that basically form the structure of our world.
And the theory identifies three main systems. First, there's the personality system, which is basically your unique personal makeup of needs and ways of making choices. Then, when you get people interacting, a social system emerges, this whole web of relationships and roles. And finally, overarching all of it is the cultural system. That's the giant library of shared values and symbols that gives everyone the general rules of the game.
And this quote from Parsons himself really captures a kind of magic moment in the theory. He says when two people, an ego and an alter, interact, they create something totally new. A social system is born. And that system is more than just the sum of its parts. It's not just you plus them. It's a new thing, with its own logic and its own rules.
Here's a really simple way to think about how these three systems link up. The cultural system provides the rulebook, our shared values. The social system sets up the game board and assigns us our roles, like parent, employee, or friend. And our unique personality is how each of us decides to play our part in that game.
Okay, I know that was a lot of pretty abstract theory. So what's the bottom line here? Why should we still care about this huge project from over 70 years ago?
Well, here's the most important takeaway. The theory of action built a bridge. It gave us a shared language and a clear path to connect our tiniest, most personal choices, like helping that stranger with their groceries, all the way up to the massive structures of society itself. It's like a blueprint that shows the hidden architecture connecting you to the entire world.
And this really just drives home the incredible scale of the ambition here. This wasn't just a theory for sociologists. It was a serious attempt to fuse the core ideas from sociology, psychology, and anthropology into one single unified framework. They were trying to build a more complete science of being human.
In the end, the theory of action was an attempt to draw a complete map of the entire human world. It was complex, it was controversial, and it was undeniably influential. And it leaves us with a final big question to chew on. Is it even possible for one theory to capture the infinite, messy complexity of human life, or is the bold, ambitious attempt to do so the thing that really pushes us all forward?